Good morning, gang. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome back to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing discussed today is financial advice. It's just for educational purposes only, and it's my view of the markets. Now we'll get that out of the way. Let's jump into some altcoin, shall we? So this week we've had requests for DOT, GPU, and VeChain from memory. So we'll take a quick deep dive into these. I'm going to keep this video nice and short and sweet. Obviously, if you guys do appreciate the free content, then do me a favour, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Now, let's bring back some of the LTA on this, because this is a coin that we've had chatted up for quite some time. Keeping things really simple. Okay, so first and foremost, let's just hide some of this stuff, shall we? There we go. Let's just hide some of this. Okay, let's talk about trend. Okay, looking on a weekly time frame here. So the trend is still up. Even though we've come down this low back into this point of control, the trend on a weekly time frame is still up. As long as we are not closing weekly dildos back down below $6. If we start closing weekly dildos back down below $6, then fair enough, the weekly has flipped bearish. But for now, the weekly is up. The monthly is also resting on the same pivot, which is down here. Same $6 pivot. Okay, so the weekly and the monthly is up. It's only the daily that's in a downtrend as it stands right now. It's only the daily that's in a downtrend, and that can easily be rectified by getting a daily dildo close above this level here. Okay, so 9.12, 9.11. Okay, get back above there, and we can look for some upside, although we do have to be careful of this zone right here. Okay, but that's when the trend on the daily flips back to being bullish. Okay, so now we've got that covered. Let's bring back the two channels that we had, which are the two ranges, the two main ranges that we need to be aware of. Obviously, if you guys have been watching us for a while, you'll know how we talked about once we got this rejection here, we were then looking to see if we got acceptance back into the bottom range. Once we got back into the bottom range, then we were looking back down towards the point of control / the EQ. Now, since then, we've started to go sideways. Okay, so we do have a lower time frame range. And if you are a lower time frame trader, it's a perfectly tradable range. Okay, a range within a range. Rangeception. Magic. Now, let's talk about upside first. Okay, if we start to head up and we get back outside of this value area, still got this range high to contend with. Okay, do we know that it's a significant level? Yes, we do. See. Many times we've interacted with this level. Okay, so if we do come up and we reject from this level and start heading back down, then once again we are just playing this range, and we'll play this range until one side of it gives way, and one side will give way eventually. Do we know what side's going to give away? We don't. Right now, the probabilities are the upside's going to give way. Why is that? Well, because the weekly and the monthly are in an uptrend, but that doesn't mean it will give way. Okay, listen to the words that I'm using. Don't be a degenerate gambler. This is where most of you go wrong. Okay, now if we do break out of this, once again, this isn't a long that I'd be prepared to take, because that's a breakout trade. I don't take breakout trades, and if you go back in the history of this channel, you'll realise why I don't take breakout trades, because they've got a very low hit rate. So first things first, I'm going to take a fib from the high to the current low. Okay, and we've got this golden pocket region here. Now, we zoom this onto a weekly time frame, then you're going to see a sticky zone right here. Okay, where the market went sideways 3 weeks in a row. Okay, which is right around this golden pocket. Okay, now if we want to figure out what's going on within that, well, we'll do a volume profile from the high to the low. We can see we've got a high volume node here. Okay, the point of control is actually down here, but we do have a high volume node there. It's not as obvious, you might not be able to see it on your screen, but I can see it clear as day on my screen. Okay, so this golden pocket is important. So if we break out of this and head up towards this golden pocket, the big question is, right at this point here, is do we get a rejection? If we get a rejection, there might be a short play. Or if you are long from this point of control tap, then it'd be a take profit region. If you don't get anything there and it continues up, then we've still got the top between this golden pocket and this 786 is an important zone, is this, okay? Anyone that understands my way of trading will know that this is an important zone. It's not necessarily just a level, okay? So then we've got the top range. If we zoom out, the top range. So if we do get up to this, it's important what happens here. Do we either A, break back in to the top range, or B, do we get a rejection? We don't know until it happens, okay? So what we need to do, set some alerts. Once we get up here, then we need to figure out what's going on. Zoom into a lower term time frame. Do we start to see some weakness and some structure lost? Well, in that case, great, cool, we've got short triggers. If we don't see any weakness and we just continue making higher highs and higher lows, then there's no short trade to be had, is there? Because we're still maintaining that trend. Okay, so that's upside, very simple. Obviously, if you get up into this top range, then we're just back to trading this top range. And to be fair, you've got a bit of a run up from this. If you take out these highs here without a simple pullback, you have got a bit of a run up to around the $15 sort of region. So, downside next. What if we can't break out? So we either come up first or we just start to roll over. Well, if we do start to roll over and we'll come back down towards this EQ, then realistically, you want these lows clearing up. Okay, right now they are not messy lows, but if you do come back down to the same level, then a lot of your influencer friends are going to say, oh, look, you got a triple bottom, and whatever made up pattern that they call it. No, that's not how trading works. If we do come back down to these levels, the highest probability then becomes cleaning up these lows. Okay, taking them out, taking out anyone that's longed, either A, from the first one, or B, from the second one. Where are the stops going to be? Well, they're both going to be down there, let's be honest. They're going to use that where the stops are. So anyone that's long this first touch, anyone that's long this second touch, the stops are going to be below this low. So if you do come back down towards the EQ, back down to these levels, then where's the liquidity? Below these stops. So then if you do run that liquidity, then likely it is we come back down towards value area low. Come back down towards value area low, get a nice bullish reaction, then great, cool, we've got a long trigger. That long trigger, once again, back up towards EQ. Do we get anything here, or do we just continue up to the range high? Okay, that's all we've got to do. Figure out what happens. If we lose value area low, which freezing numbers were coming in roughly around 530, if we lose value area low, then I am looking back down towards range low, 424. And I'd be very interested if it did come back down there, because once again, it's just the range lows. Okay. Where's your better players when you trade in a range? Out of bounds of your range. Okay. Nice and easy. Next. Wow. GPU. Is this the right chart? I'm hoping this is the right chart. Someone's requested it. Put it on log scale. See if it looks any better. Wow. It still looks crap. Is this thing alive? Is this thing even trading? It's got. Wow. Okay. Love charts that look like this. Right. Okay. Where do we begin? Right, so come down. We've come down. Right, so first thing to take notice, I'm looking at this on a 4-hour time frame. Okay. Now, for this realistically to change any meaningful structure, and based on how these candles look, by the way, I'm guessing there's zero liquidity on this coin at all. But to change any meaningful structure realistically, you'd want it to be flipping that level. See how that looks. Oh, wow. There is really nothing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you want to be flipping that level to change some meaningful structure. Okay. Now, this is a big if you do flip that level and then come back and create a higher low, then there's the opportunity then to look for higher prices. Obviously, we don't know what this is going to look like until after this does eventually break. Eventually, it will. But again, it's not necessarily going to happen like this. This could go down lower and lower and lower and then eventually break that. Okay, which in turn means this line will come down. But as it stands right now, you'd be wanting to see some strength and changing some structure to give you a meaningful long opportunity. Okay. So that's the first thing I'll be looking at this. I don't have to do much complex TA on a chart that looks like this because it just looks like dog shit. Yeah, even if this pumped overnight to some ridiculous level, this chart just looks like dog shit. Okay. This is where gambling comes into play, and I just don't gamble. Okay, I really don't gamble because it's just not worth it. It's not consistent. So that's what you'd be looking for realistically. And then if that did happen, then what you'd then be going is, all right, well, okay, well, perhaps this is what we're looking at. Okay, this is what we're looking at here. So you'd have a range low, a range high, EQ, respect around the EQ. There you've got your liquidity grab, taking out the lows, then coming back up towards the highs, and then hopefully, again, if you are bullish, then you'd be looking, does this then, question mark, break out to the upside? Okay. Now, one thing that you've got to take into account when you're looking at a chart that looks as shit as this is there's going to be so many people that's been long in this, because I'm guessing this has been shilled by some of the big influencer accounts because they've probably been paid handsomely to shill it to you. Then you've got to think a lot of people have been buying this on the way down, buying this. Buying. Just don't forget, for every sell there needs to be a buy. For every buy there needs to be a sell. Okay, so there'll be people aggressively buying this on the way down, thinking that, oh, I've got the low, it's going. Oh, I've got, no, it's still dipping, you know, and there's your buy, your dip influencers. So if and when we do start turning around, again, that's assuming that this project isn't dead. I'm making a massive assumption here because this does look like it's dead, but okay. As much as this could quite easily plow up quickly, you've also got to take into consideration that this likely makes a price action chart that's very, very wicky. Like this. Very messy on the way up. And why does that happen? Well, that happens because of all these people that are trapped. So as soon as price comes back up to their average entry, do you think they're going to hold the bags after they've been down so much? Bear in mind, you know, if we just take this one, average one here, down 99%. Wow, great. Cool. So do you think that they're going to hold the bags and then hope for moon time? No, they're going to want to get out. Okay. Similar situation like with things like XRP and stuff like that. So this is where you get this really shitty price action on the way back up. Because everyone's trying to get back out of their position. So every time someone has a nice big buy into one of these, bear in mind there's probably no liquidity on this at all. And these guys just want to sell the bags. So they just want to get out. They want to get out and break even. Okay. Eventually it would stabilize-ish if we got back up into this range. Got back up into this range above 1.8 cent, then it might start to stabilize, and then you might have a nice range to trade. Okay, but until then, this just does not look appealing at all. You know, this could easily just continue, keep going down. Does it mean it's going to keep going down? No, it don't. It can go both ways. It can go up and it can go down, and I do not own a crystal ball to tell you which way it's going to go. But all I know right now is this looks like shite. This looks like shite, and the only way I'd get involved in a coin like this is if you did start to break some structure. And you can see here, even looking on the daily chart here, this is daily structure. So you start flipping and convincingly closing daily dildos above this, then you're changing daily structure. And that's the only way I'd get involved in something like this. But until that line is effectively broken with a daily dildo closure above it, and convincingly, not a little tiny little nubbin above, then I'd have no interest in this. Okay, next, VeChain. I haven't looked at this in a while, but the old range is still valid. Okay, keep this nice and simple as well then. Here we go. So, once again, daily structure. Still pointing up. In fact, no, it's not. Daily structure is pointing down. Daily structure is pointing down. Weekly structure is still up. Monthly structure is still up as well. Okay, so it's only the daily that's pointing down. So the big question with this is, you can see our range. Okay, so you've got your white lines that mark the outside of the range, and then you've got your coloured lines, which are the outward deviations. Now, if this gets acceptance back into this range and comes down lower, this won't be the healthiest of signs. Okay, anyone that understands how I trade and how I use this range fib will know exactly what I'm looking at next if this happens. Okay, this is something that I teach the members based on a hell of a lot of statistics on this tool. So if we do get back in here, then the guys in my group will know exactly what I'm looking for next, which, to be fair, could give us a buying opportunity at some point. in the near future. So obviously if it does come down, then first and foremost, what happens at the EQ? What happens at the range low? Okay. If the range low, if the range EQ holds, then great, cool. There might be a long opportunity. If the range EQ doesn't hold, range low. What happens at the range low? Do you get change of structure? Bit of strength? Cool. Long trigger. If that doesn't happen, then realistically, I'm going to be looking first and foremost down at this blue line down here, which is coming in roughly around 1.6 cents. And if that fails to hold, then I'll be looking to at least take out that low. Now, whether that is a simple swing failure pattern of that low and a liquidity grab of stop losses down there, or coming down to the magical white line down here, which is near as damn it. Yeah, call it a cent, just for easy numbers. Okay. Obviously, if that doesn't hold, then, yep, doom and gloom. To the upside, if it holds outside of this range, then realistically, let's get some fibs on this. But nothing local to that. We do have that just above. Okay, that's interesting. Let's just take it out a log, please, so we can see this. Okay, so if we do hold outside of this range here and start to make our way up and start changing some structure and creating some higher highs and higher lows and coming back up to take out these highs, we can't ignore that there's this quite high time frame golden pocket which is spanning back from March 2022 to present day. So this is quite a macro golden pocket. Okay, so this whole region I'd be cautious of. Not something that I'd be longing into. If these highs break, I wouldn't be opening fresh longs here, looking for the breakout trade, because you are longing directly into resistance. Now, there's resistance. Do you get a short setup, or is it just to take profit on longs? If you are holding longs from lower, obviously. If that offers nothing, then realistically, above that, I'd be looking to come and clear out these highs, which is coming in roughly, just for easy numbers, around 9 cents. Okay, once again, likely causes some sort of pullback. It's probably a lower time frame short to be played with here, and a take profit on longs. Okay, really simple. For me, all this comes down to now on VeChain is, do we get acceptance back into this range and head lower, or do we hold out of this range and it's a legitimate range breakout, back test, and then up? Okay. So it all depends on what happens over the coming few days, maybe a couple of weeks. But pay attention to that. Right, hopefully you've learned something. Again, if you enjoyed the content, hit that like button. Get us back into the algorithm, please, gang. And until next time, as you were, bye-bye.